empower young women and girls who continue to be underrepresented in school sports and physical education. And to discuss this very, very important topic of impact of sports on education, we have very elite, those who are authority, those who are well experienced panelists with us. I would like to invite my first panelist guest. He is Dr. Kurian. Dr. Kurian is MSW, MPhil, PhD. Dr. Kurian is the principal of Alvas College, Moodbidri. He worked from 1991 to 2000 with Koraga tribe of Dakshin Kannada through Samagra Gramin Ashram Corp, which is involved in tribal activism in Karnataka. He was principal of Alvas College of Social Work from 2000 to 2009. He has been the member of BOE and BOS of Mangalore University. He initiated 16 new postgraduate programs and coordinated and implemented the academic, administrative, and infrastructural and research requirements. He coordinated NAC visit for the first time in the institute and completed the NAC accreditation. He initiated more than 30 certificate courses. He initiated various teacher development programs. He initiated research-centered pedagogy for postgraduate departments. He is guiding and monitoring the academic functioning of 174 faculty members and 40 departments. Welcome, Dr. Kurian, on our show. I would like to inform our viewers that Dr. Kurian heads the college, which is one of the leading college in the entire Karnataka, not only in academics, but also in the sports. They organized many, many national events at their place. And there, you can very well see, and I will request Dr. Kurian, once he's going to start talking, he can show his office. It's full of shields and cups and whatnot, which the college and the students won. And their motto is very clear, and they believe that the sports and the academics can go hand in hand. We would like to know more from his mouth only. So the impact of sports on education, Dr. Kurian, please.
Thank you, sir. Good morning to everybody. I'm very happy to be on this platform of Lal Goel, sir. A platform which has come up with so many current and relevant topics, and of course with a very purposeful discussion of bringing a mindset change in the listeners and the viewers. Being myself a sports student, as a sports student from my high school days to my college, I myself was I had represented Bangalore University in high jump. So doing my BSc, I know how important and very good it was to have both academics and sports, academics and sports together. Being in a college like Alvas College, Alvas Education Foundation, the founder of our education foundation, Dr. Mohan Alva, was a youth who was involved in all three aspects of education: cultural, sports, and academics together. And we, the College and Education Foundation, we have a basic belief saying that it should be an integration. Academic growth should be supplemented by, or equally should be supported by, the sports and cultural activities. So, and we believe, and it's not only our belief, it should be a general belief that every child is a unique person, every learner is a unique learner. It is not only the intellectual ability which is going to be decided and important for a person, but rather it should be the various aspects of a person which is very evident and very beautiful. For example, a good athlete exhibits the best beautiful ability of a human body. And of course, we all know that whatever the accomplishments we have in the society today, it is because of the physical development of the whole human community as well. It could be a tribal group working together. It could be a group of athletes working together. It could be an industry where people working together. It could be a great effort of music or dance where people working together. Everything is the finest movements of our body. And that is I believe it is the greatest evolutionary stage where human beings have reached, basically because of physical activity. So unless the physical fine coordination happens, there cannot be any mind and neurological or whatever is the development in the brain centers. All across, if you see, human beings as a group of living beings have been made for live using their physical might and capacities and fine tuning. For example, dance is a fine tuning of a physical ability of a person to the finest level. Equally, running 100 meters or running 200 meters or a high jump or a javelin throw or a hammer throw, or could be a ball badminton game or a football game. All these events are finest expressions of human body. So what we believe is every child has to be given an opportunity to express his possible expressions. Say somebody is good in mathematics, he should be expressing in terms of mathematics. Somebody is good in using his body to the finest form of it. Could be an athlete, could be a person who is performing a game. He should be or she should be given an opportunity to express through the finest form of the body. And that is how the society should be getting reflected. So integrating sports into education, it's not integrating, it should be the part of the education. Unfortunately or fortunately, fortunately, for example, in maybe the last 30, when we were students, it was an integral part. As a child, as a person, I had experienced it from my childhood that along with my curriculum, there were events and possibilities that I could participate. But unfortunately, nowadays, I believe the education system is too much focused on only intellectual ability, and marks and achievements in certain fields have been highlighted and given importance so much, so that the physical abilities of the persons are being neglected, and the physical talents, the students, because I'm in a college where I have more than 3,000 athletes, and among them around 800 of them are of national and international level. I have seen students from rural area coming and representing. We had 5 students who represented India in Olympics. I've seen those students, how they come up from their 6th standard, start practicing, start getting involved in, and when they come to their graduate or postgraduate program, they are fine-tuned enough to represent the country. So as Lal Goel sir was rightly saying, I'm quoting these examples to make you understand how important it is to integrate sports and academics. We have around 400 to 500 athletes who have been adopted. What you mean by adoption is they are given complete free education, food, and also training in the respective area of their importance. For example, we have around 40 coaches, 21 regular in various events. It could be athletics, in athletics, it could be long race, it could be cross country, it could be 100 meters, it could be 400 meters, it could be hurdles, or in throws, or it could be jumps. We have all these events where the best candidates are selected and they'll be given a complete environment to develop themselves. So due to this, in the last 30 years, we have produced enough number of athletes who have represented our country. And last 4 All India Inter-University meets, Mangalore University was the champion, wherein almost all athletes of the contingent were from our college. And it's only the one college and one university which has won 4-time continuously All India Inter-University Athletic Championship. And we have, it's not only that we are champions, we conduct a lot of activities at a national level. It's all because of, as I named, it's Dr. Mohan Alva, the chairman of our education foundation. Why I'm referring to this is, if you create an environment of sports and culture and education together in any education institution all across the country, definitely the whole education system, and not only the education system, the working system outside, the education system itself is going to be upgraded to the best possibility of it. So as Lal Goel sir had requested me, before continuing, I would like to show my office. This is my office. I'm principal is my office, where I think we have more than around 2,800 trophies. We call these trophies as energy, not energy to me, energy to any child enters this chamber. So I'll just shift my camera to all those trophies once. to the viewers, so that you can have a view where you can understand if children are trained, what can be achieved. I'm just shifting my camera. Every visitor who comes to my chamber says this is amazing. This is amazing basically because I call it is because of the finest effort of our students. I'll continue my discussion after this. Say, when we see a child achieves his best physical ability, have athletes who have represented country for Olympics in 400 meters, Darun, and the last Olympics, 2 girls who represented India for 4 into 100 meters relay. And we had Puvamma, who was our good product. We had Satish, who is our beautiful product. We had Indrajit Singh, who is a thrower, who is from our product, who has been trained by us. So we have a lot of glorious athletes who have come up. But apart from that, the beautiful part of it is the students who learn here, either they participate directly in the sport event, or they participate indirectly, where they witness all these events, and all of them are interested, and they sports promotive. Other than the athletics itself, we have all rural games. I don't know Archana madam whether she is a badminton player, but we have ball badminton, which the team is champion for last 15 years in the country, and we have produced more than 10 Star of India athletes, and 8 of them have got Eklavya award from Karnataka government. We have a volleyball team, we have a kabaddi team, we have a kho team. All rural games, we are almost in every game, we are champions at either South Indian level or at national level from last 15 years. So why I am explaining all these things is, it is not that we are champions or we are getting trophy. The important point here is that if government and systems are willing, private as well as the government, if sports as an important event to be integrated into the education, you can do wonders. As Lal Goel sir in his introduction was rightly quoting a lot of examples and possibilities of sports being an important part of education system. Apart from that, it should be ultimately a chance and a possibility for each person to express himself in the beautiful form. A dancer's expression should be dance. A sportsman's expression should be the beautiful expression of a sport. It is not the trophy. Of course, it is not the trophy, but he or she should feel that my body has found the best expression ever. And a mathematician's expression is mathematics. And a student who has flair in a language, his expression is linguistics, or ability to speak or produce a beautiful poem. So ultimately what we believe is, it is not to create robots of a similar kind of people in education system. Education system should be robust enough to support every child with his own or her own possibilities. So I believe this discussion in the view of, or in the current era where national education policy has been discussed all across. Basically, the spirit of national education policy, the new education policy, what we call now, runs with the same idea that each child, each person should get the opportunity to harness, see that the growth happens in that area where that person is good in. So we are not supposed to create robots or the similar kind of people through our education system. Rather, we should create a set of people who are vibrant, who are multiple talented, who can be who instead of following one system of thought process, there should be people with all kinds of thought process and possibilities. That is how the society will become strong. So naturally, the school system, integration of sports and culture into the school system will make the society strong, multi-pillared. So all thought process and all possibilities, getting into as multi-pillared possibilities of a society is the foundation of a just, human, lovely society. So I believe the whole purpose of education, as all of us agree, is to ultimately to produce, as Gandhiji rightly puts it across, ultimately produce the best out of each individual. So, and I conclude by saying, if the delay, the delay that we do to include sports as an integral part of the whole education system, and giving more importance to only the, the intellectual growth, or what you say, academic growth, is definitely, hampering the whole process of growth of our country. So I believe there should be, a speedy implementation of the policies, and there should be enough opportunities for each school from the starting level to the universities of all sorts. It's not only that the traditional university should have sports, even engineering college, even medical colleges should have enough opportunities for sports and development. That would make a different doctor, that would make a beautiful engineer. So I believe the engineering, the medicine, maybe any technical course, any kind of course, sports and cultural should be the integral part of it. And definitely, if we implement it with all sense of requirement, within 10 years, any society, can be Indian or any society, will see a transformative, beautiful development. And I stop my discussion by expecting a great support for an integrated educational system from all these viewers, especially the parents who push their students to only academic performance and stress and strains and a lot of those kind of inabilities which has been inbuilt into the students. I request the policymakers, parents, and education systems to definitely dwell into it. And this discussion, I believe, will lead to an eye-opening discussion in the other systems also, as if at all it can do it in a small way. I thank everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kurian, for giving your views on a very, very, I will say, simple way, but very, very forcibly. Because what Dr. Kurian has experienced from his childhood, and he is still carrying on the same thing, is that the sports has to be integral part of the curriculum. He says initially it was, but now, because of the pressure, so much pressure, that we want the student, the child should be only for academics, and we gauge, according to Dr. Kurian, the gauge of success is only the academics, not whether he's a human or not, whether he's having all types of achievements which he requires or she requires, or we only see from the eye that how much he's getting the marks in the exams. And the best part of Dr. Kurian Alwas College is because I witnessed myself as a guest of honor for several times. They have invited me, and especially the Dr. Mohan Alwa, who is a visionary, and along with Dr. Kurian and the entire team, they are doing it every year. So many events they are doing it without fail, whatsoever the conditions are, and in a very, very large scale. And people, and it's a place which is called Murbidri, is not a, it's a very, very small town. It's not a district, it's a taluka only. And taluka became recently, I think about a year or so back. So one can imagine, with a population of hardly 80,000 people here, in that area, this college has done wonders, not only in sports, but also in academics. And this shows that the integration of sports and education or the academics can do wonders. And the confidence level, one can imagine how those students who have passed out from this institution, when they go and they stand in the Olympic stands. I still remember when Miss Puvamma, which Dr. Kurian mentioned the name, she was the gold medal winner of Asian Games, the 400 for relay race. And when she came to Murbidri, I happened to honor her in my resort, and they all came, even the sports minister, and everybody came. And the way she was praising, and the main praise goes to the Alwa's institution and Dr. Mohan Alwa. And Dr. Kurian, now this is where the institution feels proud. This is where the nation feels proud. And to make nation feel proud, one has to encourage from the childhood the education along with the sports, which according to Dr. Kurian is very, very important. And he is a living example. Their institution is a living example. It's not that, and he has shown his all the trophies and cups and everything. Whenever I visit his place, I always try to see can I count, but now he has given the figures. Otherwise, I was mesmerized always going there when the day will come when they will have to make it a big hall. So this is the situation, and I'm sure our viewers, many of them, either they have studied here or they have known this place. They understand very well the importance of sports in education. But whether we are implementing this policy everywhere or not, we are going to discuss further. And I would like to invite my next panelist guest. Thank you very much, Dr. Kurian, for enlightening all of us today. And I'm sure it's a very, very big eye opener. And as you rightly said, policymakers and the parents should understand that if you will not inculcate the sportsmanship from the childhood, the child cannot become a very successful person. And I can give my own personal example. My mother, she was a gold medalist of MSc topper of Agra University in 1948, which was at that time the Agra University was up to the Madhya Pradesh, and she did it from Indore, Holkar College. And she was the champion of Central Province. At that time, the Central Province exists, not the Madhya Pradesh and the Maharashtra. In the Central Province, she was the champion of all athletics thing, whether it is running, high jump, long jump, tennis, badminton, kho, swimming, everything. And we were having at our home lots of medals and shields. And she was also the gold medalist topper of Agra University at that time, being a girl in MSc chemistry. So we can understand that sports cannot harm the academic or the education. Rather, it is a complement to each other, and that's why the sports is required for the in India, at least from the very childhood. Thank you very much, Dr. Kurian. Now I would like to invite my next panelist guest, and he is Colonel Tarun Kumar. Colonel Tarun Kumar, retired, is the renowned coach, speaker, and author. He is the founder and CEO of Force Multipliers at Hyderabad. Having survived multiple injuries while fighting the enemy, he had this realization while in the hospital that he has been blessed to have a second chance at life. Hence, one must make most of it. He is a thought leadership coach, speaker, and recently turned author of The Winning Edge: Unleash the Leader Within. He feels that today's corporates are dealing with similar challenges as faced by the armed forces. Therefore, the lessons learned in the military are more valuable and transferable than ever. He has been blessed to help people from varied backgrounds, businesses, ecosystems transform their pain into success through definitive interventions. His work is not limited to big corporates. He has a special passion for small business owners, startups, and individuals. Most of his core strategies enabling self-discovery have come from nurturing the soul and creating the right environment. Welcome, Colonel Tarun Kumar, on our show. Colonel, you have heard what Dr. Kurian has mentioned. And Dr. Kurian it's a real example because that is not a theoretical thing. He has spoken the words only. One can see, one can, whenever it's an open book always for them, the Alvaz institutions, that they are having sports and academics together, and they are bringing laurels. Many times their students are getting very, very good marks. I think every time, not many times, every time in the PUCs and all those classes. Now, you being a former army colonel, as well as you are now the author and a motivator, a coach and a speaker, you have also seen the importance of sports And you know that in army, everybody knows that how the importance of sports or exercise, physical exercise have been given. So we would like to know now your views on impact of sports on education. Colonel Tarun Kumar, please.
Thank you, Goel ji. My compliments to Dr. Kurian for spearheading this initiative and doing a wonderful job. 2,800 trophies is not a mean task for any institution. And hi, Archana. She herself being a national badminton player, I think I would like to bring a different perspective to it. And probably now, after listening to this brainstorming session, I would like to go back and say that how I wish I was born today. Probably I was young enough, and with Dr. Kurian in his academy, where athletes of future are being born, built, and provided the opportunity to create a name for themselves and for the country. I'm reminded of my days when 4 decades back, when I was a youngster, grappling with this reality. We all used to love games, sports. However, we were always brought up on this notion, concept of कि खेलोगे कूदोगे तो होगे खराब, पढ़ोगे लिखोगे तो बनोगे नवाब. Now, if I have to translate it to the audience, if you are going to invest your time in sports, then you're going to ruin your life. But if you're going to be looking forward to a checkered career, then you should invest your time in studies. It is so heartening to see that how times have changed over the years. And today, sports has brought us into the realm of things. And this is something which I learned in the armed forces. We spend considerable time in field and peace location. So when we are in field locations, we are battling terrorists, difficult terrains, insurmountable odds, very difficult climatic conditions. So survival is on all 4 fronts. And you are trying to come out as a victor. There is no time for you to indulge into sports. Your core competency of defending the sovereignty of your nation is to the fore. The moment we fall back to a peace station after our hard field tenure, probably in J&K or in Northeast, we will realize that now we have to start grappling with the reality that we were trained for one particular set of operations, and now we have to be adaptable to another set of operations, because from high altitude or from the valleys of Srinagar and the valleys of the forward areas, we will be transitioning ourselves onto the desert sector, or somewhere into the high altitude, or somewhere into the mountainous or the riverine sector. So always this kind of adaptability comes to you when you are a good sports person. And that is what I always felt when I was playing games as a youngster, and then playing sports in the army became an integral part of our growth journey. So if I have to humbly put it across, if we want to educate our children with universal values, create global citizens with selfless, proactive, collaborative behaviors, who can help them, or which can help them overcome societal biases, enforced hierarchy, then indulging people in sports, students in sports, is a must. Like Dr. Kurian has been associated with tribals. We know the kind of stigma they have to face on a daily basis, the kind of caste system. But when you're playing sports, it's your performance on ground. Nothing else matters. If you're a good 100-meter runner, then people will clap, they will applaud your effort. But you can't win a medal on a sports field if you're not delivering on ground, period. There is significant research which is available today, which points to the important and positive impact that sports have on the physical activities can have on our educational system. Now we are talking about it. We are not talking about encouraging better academic performance, which has been proved without doubt. We are talking about greater inclusivity. We are talking about getting rid of discriminatory practices. We are talking about participation in the classroom, which is not restricted to the classroom, but we are talking about participation on the sports field. And this all leads to an improved, healthier mindset. And all these students are going to be better prepared for future. I'll be coming to that particular topic, that how your acknowledgement of your core competencies on a sports field help you to deal yourself better in life. But it is important to recognize that not all sports activity automatically delivers wider gains. And for that, we need to have at these educational institutions, physical instructors, people who are trying to make gains into this particular thing and improving their students' health and their probable future careers, that there should be sufficient amount of supervision that is also coming along with it. In order to deliver educational outcomes, sports and physical activities needs to be intentionally designed at academic institutions, and they have to be effectively implemented. It's not a matter of one games period or a physical activity thing. It has to be seen that whether people or whether the students are indulging in team building activities, what kind of characters are they exhibiting? Most of us, when we come to a school, educational institution, we come from varied background. We carry varied mindsets. We carry different upbringings. We are part of a different value system. And how an educational system helps in binding all these things together so that your negativity goes down and the positive impact on the society comes up is the beauty of a sports field. You would be wondering that why in Army we play a lot of emphasis on sports. We play sports because if I have to bond well as an officer with my team, and if my team has to bond well with other soldiers, then we must understand that how each and everyone behaves during different situations. When you're so close to scoring a goal, and yet you find that it is pretty difficult, are you willing to pass the ball to a person who is better placed to score the goal? And if you are in this particular league, then you are a winner for life. Because in this world, it is not that who scores the goal or whether you were the top scorer of your team, but whether your team won the tournament or not, whether you bonded well as a team or not. And that is what sports teach us. If we are going to build generations for future, then we have to have a strong nation. And a strong nation can only come when we value each other, the kind of value we bring onto the table, and the kind of value that we can impart through these educational institutions so that students start bonding well with each other. It is important to recognize that we cannot have too many participation or less participation. What is important is that people should be encouraged to take part in sports at a much younger age. You know what pandemic has taught us? 18 months of total inactivity, and all the parents who were putting their children into international schools and all those such places, they started realizing that we as humans cannot have solitary existence. Our children need to bond with their age group people, because there are lots and lots of learning which people learn when they wrestle in the mud, when they hold each other's hand, and at the same time, when they empathize with those core human values. We all missed this particular facet in last 18 months. Thank God, life is coming back to normal. However, still the fear is not over. But then the human spirit will prevail. We will find ways and means to have this kind of interaction and probably have a better life for our coming generation. I'm a firm believer that we have not inherited this planet from our parents. We have merely borrowed it from our children. What we have to do is that we have to leave a very strong legacy, a legacy of a strong nation, a legacy of a strong society. And how do we build a good society? We build a good society which is based on the tenets of certain core competencies. These core skills, they always help us through playing sports, that we will start engaging through our brain. We will think, we will learn, we will try and remember a couple of things. We will start reasoning out, and this critical ability, or we call this as the cognitive ability, helps us to be a problem solver. Don't we want our younger generation to be a problem solver? We have n number of startups which are started emanating in India today. Earlier, when we used to talk about startups, we used to talk about people from the West, from USA, Canada. Today, like today morning when I picked up the newspaper, we have our 41st unicorn, which has been the Slice. Now, how this is happening? Because people are thinking, and you think only when you have a good, robust ecosystem. Now, there are some very important things that I would like to highlight, and that is sports and physical activity positively impacts the academic performance, as it encourages the enhancement of brain function and cognition through increased blood flow. We all know that. But if I were to highlight factors or attributes through sports which help build citizens of tomorrow, then the following variables come to my mind. And I'll share it with you all. Probably they will resonate with you. For me, the first set of factors which I learned in the army and which is very important for creation of a good society is that we should have youth which is determined, persistent, and there is a character building. And how does this thing happen? It happens through sports. You would ask me, how sports help you? Well, you start giving your best. You start respecting others. You start believing in yourself by overcoming the adversities that you are facing. And it also teaches you that it is not always winning that matters. Sometimes you lose and sometimes you win. And how you accept these defeats so beautifully. If I were to highlight another set of factors or attributes through sports which help build citizens, then the second set of factors would be which focuses on teamwork, cooperation, discipline, hard work, helping each other and working together. Now, if we were to talk about that, can you play a sport even in sports where you have one-on-one, you also have a doubles game, you also have mixed games. Why? Because sports are supposed to help you in nurturing team building activity. So the third factor, which is so important and very, very close to me, is that sports also help us internalize ourselves. And we also start understanding that there is a self-developmental process which has started shaping us into a different person. Now, when we talk about all these things, what happens? We start respecting the rules. We start following the law of the land. We also uphold the societal norms. And it also helps build a certain amount of self-esteem, which is so important because we have all been gifted with this unique ability to be the leader. However, how many of us practice? It is for us to understand. But if we are in this kind of an ecosystem, the kind of ecosystem that Lal Goel ji, that Dr. Kurian, that Archana ji are trying to build, I think you must visit a military academy and see that how much time we spend on the sports field, how much emphasis is played on you being developed not only in one stream, but on multiple streams. So if I'm not a good swimmer, I should know the basics of swimming because it will not only help me in the overall development of my physical attributes, but also when the time comes, when there is a requirement of an operation, I'll be able to undertake that task without batting an eyelid. Now, what I have seen over the years is that we as sports person help develop competitive spirit. and a sense of fair play, which is so important. You know, today we as a society, we're grappling with, I would love to have everything on a platter for my son or for my daughter. On the sports field, it doesn't happen. And if you do it, you can't stay for long. Am I correct? We all understand that your performance on ground is so important. Nobody can hide it. Even the digital world cannot hide it. And most important is, because there is a level playing field, hence all the discriminatory practices, they will be shunned at the very first sight. Because winning on ground defines that how successful we are. And that is where the beauty of life or of these sports raises us. My sense of judgment says that sports develop mental robustness. Absolutely. If we have to be strong in our physical domain, it doesn't matter how strong physically you are. But if you are mentally strong, you're mentally robust, then you are a winner. It is never the physical ability, but the mental ability, which is the biggest asset. And we should develop this in our generation next. And how do we do it? Sports will play a major factor in this. When we talk about people who have more talent, then we must remember that there is no excuse for anyone to work harder than you do. So instill this fact into your students, into your teammates, into your team members. I have encountered so many situations in the army where my opponent teams were far better. Give me 6 months, I built a team which lifted the champion trophy. And for next 3 years, we were lifting the rolling trophy. How we did it? It was all in the mind. Firstly, you win your battles in mind before you start winning them on ground. Most people give up when they were about to achieve success. They quit just 1 yard before the finish line. They give up at the last minute of the game when they were so close to winning. So stop preaching, start practicing is my golden mantra. I always tell people, if you want to be a man of action. And that is what sports teaches us, isn't it? Sports doesn't teach us that you will be sitting in your cozy office and you will be saying and exhorting everybody. Sports teaches us that you be out, be it run, rain, sunshine, hailstorm. You're out with your troops, you're out with your soldiers, you're out with your teammates, and you're practicing, because practicing, and more practice makes you successful. Nothing else. Dreams don't help you until and unless you dream so much that it doesn't let you sleep. Why I'm asking on practicing before preaching is because sports teach us that there are 5 S's which are so important. These 5 S's which I feel they resonate with sports is that sports gives us stamina, they give us speed, they give us strength, they give us skills. But the most important is the 5th one, and that is what is required in each and every individual. They give us the spirit, the human spirit, which doesn't let it go, which always comes up. You are coming second, you are working your backside off because now you want to come first. And that is how, as a nation, we will grow. You know, when I was a youngster, the only medal that we used to win was the Olympic gold medal in hockey. Today, it is so heartening to see that we are not only winning in boxing, but we have started getting medals in athletics, in the field, track and field events. The day is not far when we would be a force to reckon with, and we would be getting figured in the top 3 slots. How it happened? The transformation happens over a period of time. And I always tell students that rather than having a will to win, it is a will to prepare to win, which is more important. You have to be always in preparation for something that the life will throw at you. I can only prepare myself, but how about preparing myself for that unknown adversary who will come and I will be foxed? I don't know, because how good he was, and all of a sudden from a gold medalist, I can be a no medalist also. So I have to always prepare, always exceed the expectations, and always come up to those exacting standards. One thing that the current social media generation must understand, learn, that persistence can change failure into extraordinary achievement. You just have to be persistent, persistent, persistent. You have to give your best. Even when you don't feel like waking up, you have to wake up. Even when you don't feel like, when your body is aching, you can't let it go, because after a couple of days of your body under ache, you will start realizing the beauty of human physical endeavor. We can absorb a lot. And thanks to Army, I learned it firsthand. I never thought that I will be able to do 500 push-ups or 1000 sit-ups. I did it. So what if I did it about 2 or 2.5 decades back? But it is all there with me, and it propels me to understand that if I've done it once, I can do it again. Sports teaches us another most important aspect, and I think that we should not miss: how to deal with failures. You know, in our society, we always talk about people, those who are dealing with success. We are only trained to achieve success, but success doesn't happen always. Success doesn't happen every time. This society and our younger generation must be taught to deal with failures, because we all fear failures. Failures does not prevent our future successes. But if we are not ready for our acceptance of this failure, then it is one of the biggest stumbling blocks. Failure is one of the key to success because it teaches us more. Thomas Edison was one person who failed 10,000 times before he invented the light bulb. When he was asked, he said that I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. Beautifully way of keeping yourself, pepping yourself up. This is what sports teaches us. You can have this kind of mentality almost anywhere and every time. Once you're able to treat failure as a learning opportunity, you can put it in the past and be able to move forward. And that is what sportsmen do. Any failure that you encountered, it propels you to do better and better every time. Remember, all our past failures are actually laying the foundation of a future successes, because every adversity, disappointment, and failure carries with it the seeds of success. It is just that it takes a little positive mental attitude and a commitment to keep trying. Failures are the stepping stones on the road to success. If you have the confidence to move on, you better be a good sports person, because if you are a sports person, you know how to handle failures and how you can. The most important thing that I learned, that what sports teaches us, and that is so important, is that how do we build teams and how we work as a team? Because this is something which I feel is the need of the hour, because a lone wolf cannot succeed. And if you want to succeed as a community, you want to succeed as an organization, institution, or as a nation, we have to have this undeniable team spirit in us. And with that, I would like to say that this is what sports teaches us, that life is not fair, but for those of us, it will give you a red carpet to the success. Take steps that are necessary, which will take you where you need to be, because it is your decision and we must choose our decisions wisely. You want to play a game? Play a game. Have a balanced life, and you will be something. Who knows the Neeraj Chopra of tomorrow? Who knows the Mary Kom? Who knows the PT Usha? And every Indian has this seed, this desire to excel and probably apne desh ka naam roshan karna hai. With that, I will thank all of you, and I would participate in further discussions, because this is something which is so close to my heart, and it is so invigorating early in the morning to have such wonderful discussion emanating on this topic, impact of sports on education. It is undeniably very profound. Thank you so much. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, Colonel, for giving your views. And Colonel has given how important is the sports in the school or college level, so that the career wise, and he has given his own example how in the army, how the sports play very, very important role, and especially when you are facing, when we are in operation, when you are facing the enemies, at that time also, the sportsman spirit, if you have, and all those qualities which you could generate or inculcate in yourself because you have played the sports in the schools and colleges, definitely you will be a very, very good and efficient soldier or the officer in the army or any, according to colonel, in all the fields of the life. The sports plays a very, very important role. He has even invited us to visit the military academy. Yes, it is something which one should see, because the way the army is doing in India, it's making us proud, and we are always want that India name should be on the top, as he wished that we should come in the top 3 in the Olympics. Let's hope the day will come when all our athletes and other players will be bringing the laurels to the country. Thank you very much, Colonel, for giving so much enlightening your thoughts. And I'm sure our viewers are very enlightening by listening our both the panelists who have given their views, very, very clear views and strong views in support of the sports impact on education. Thank you very much. Now, I would like to invite my last but not the least panelist guest, and she is Miss Archana Kumar. Miss Archana Kumar is a recipient of National Merit Scholarship. She is a multifaceted, dynamic academician for over 2 decades, 23 years, imparting holistic education in maths and science at TM Hinduja National Sarvodaya High School and Junior College, Mumbai. Beside being a national badminton player, she is also an iron lady who is a social entrepreneur, enthusiast, an influencer, a motivator, a runner, fitness enthusiast, and a certified yogini. She won Best Teachers Award 2021 on the occasion of Teachers Day by TUM and Global TV Network. Yes, I remember. I was a chief guest in that program. She won Achievers Award for outstanding performance in badminton at the National Badminton Championship as winner, as well as being an empowered WMBL star on the occasion of Women's Day 2020. She won Inspiring and Motivating Facilitator Award by her institution for winning many prizes at ward zonal levels and representing school at state level for maths teaching aid at science exhibition competition. Her name finds mention in India Book of Records for having the maximum women participants in a badminton tournament. Welcome, Ms. Archana Kumar, on our show. Ms. Archana Kumar, you have heard what Dr. Kurian as well as what Colonel Tarun Kumar has spoken. And they have given their views and very, very encouraging, enlightening views. But both are not that national level players. They played the sports. They played in their childhood. Still, that Colonel said that he's still playing in the army. When he was in army, and Dr. Kurian played during his students' time. But still, he's organizing so many events. But you are yourself a badminton player, national badminton player, national level badminton player, as well as you are an educator. You are so now we would like to know from you your views whether due to the playing badminton and up to the national level hampered your education, your academics, and you were also being taunted as the colonel mentioned, खेलोगे कूदोगे तो बनोगे खराब, पढ़ोगे लिखोगे तो बनोगे नवाब. If you are playing, then you will become a top person. If you play, then you nowhere. Whether you faced such type of situation in your childhood, you have been taunted by your peers and or your relatives, etc. Why she is playing, etc. We would like to know from you your views on impact of sports on education. Miss Archana Kumar, please.
A very good morning to each and every one of you. My first of all, extend my gratitude to you, Goel sir, for giving me this platform to express my views. And it was really enlightening to hear both of my fellow speakers speaking. That is about sports. That is from Dr. Kurian and Colonel Tarun himself. So much more and almost everything is being spoken about sports. So as you asked for Goel sir, it's a blessing that I'm associated with education as well as sports. Now to answer your first query, like was I a sports person earlier? I was definitely for sure. Sports is very much close to most of our hearts, right? We love it, we enjoy it, and we do everything from heart. So that is why we get maximum output in it. But since, as we know, during our time, it was always told that खेलोगे कूदोगे बनोगे खराब. So I was pushed into academics and thankfully inherited good genes, so I could excel in academics. And later on, I pursued in masters badminton, and that is where I picked up on my later stage. And delighted to represent my state, and very soon the country as well as when financial constraints don't hamper me. Let us come to the current topic, that is impact of sports on education. So if I ask all of you, including my viewers, that which subject is your favorite subject? Think fast. I'm very sure none of you must have thought physical education, right? Because we are not used to that concept. We must have thought English bolu, Hindi bolu, yeah, science bolu, yeah, history bolu, yeah, any other subject, right? Because we never considered sports as a subject. To me, sports is not different from education. Like how I heard from my fellow speakers, they have considered sports as different. But I, being an educator, I feel sports is an education. It is very much this.
Hello.
So, yeah, am I audible?
Yes, yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. So to me, sports is not something different. It is not a subject. It is very much the other side of the same coin as education. Sports is an education. Sports is something which helps you naturally to acquire with physical fitness. And with physical fitness, you get mental fitness. And once you get mentally fit, then you excel in all the skills, knowledge. Name it and you get it. Then why are we different? Why are we something which is hampering our progress into academics? It's not at all. It is very much the integral part of education. So if you tell all work, no play, makes Jack lazy boy. Yes. Now if we go by stats, it is seen that only 2% of high school uses physical activity on a regular basis. The data also says that recently there has been 30% increase in obesity. I guess it must be much more because of COVID too. So you imagine that once a person is physically unfit, do you think he would justify whatever is being given to him via the conventional classrooms, conventional education? No, it's not. So we are yet to change our mindset. Education, sports is an education. It's not a subject. Sports is an education which allows you to explore outside the classroom. And once it comes out of the classroom, a child learns everything, right from, as my fellow speakers had mentioned, be it teamwork, leadership, failure, success, respecting creed, caste, physical barriers, whatsoever. Everything is acquired via sports, be it any sport. Be it any sport. I remember if a person is not submitting his assignments, and if he is into some sport, he knows what is discipline, what is the deadline. He starts respecting that, and then he understands the seriousness. And once he's into that sport, he knows how to see the progress. He's alert. He thinks about the technique. He thinks about the alternatives. He thinks about the tools which can complement his effort and takes him further. So once the mind starts getting tuned to the process, the same mental process is applied to every subject. A mind gets a tuning. It's tuned. Once I know how to handle my failure, today I couldn't qualify. Tomorrow I would make it. I may not be a winner, but I know how much effort it takes. Now let us talk about sacrifices. A person who is into any sport can never come out without a list of sacrifices, and that is endless. I'll give one small example. Like Usain Bolt, he didn't take a single day off 365 days. Imagine, he never had a break. He never had any Sundays. He never had any off day. Never. Not a single day. And if you see the total number of miles which he must have run, so less, right? So the time of testing is so less comparatively to his efforts which he puts in the entire year. So here we see that it is an education which can be naturally given to every child. And hence, hopefully the new national education policy, it comes up with different programs, and we really appreciate the changes made in the curriculum. But yet, the curriculum will not do justice to the change what we need in society. Like as I said, everybody, not just my panelists, everybody sees sports as a different subject. It's not. It's an education. The happiness what we get when we are into that sport. Suppose let us say that I'm not interested in any sports, but at least I watch people on TV, right? I have a leader in my mind. I would try to imbibe that. I would try to be like him or her. He or she is my role model. And I would definitely come with my diet, right? Now, if I'm taking care of my diet, what happens? Simple as it said, healthy mind in healthy body. It's as simple as that. We need not talk big things. Let us just stick to the basics. Once you take sports as your education, you focus on your body, health, body fitness. Mental fitness automatically takes care of it. If we talk about skills, all the skills are right there on the ground, right? Be it leadership, be it teamwork, be it respecting people from other cultural background, other countries. So it brings oneness. It appeals globally. So it enhances our mindset rather than becoming an Indian citizen, we think about global citizen. And if we talk about the person who is visualizing his hero playing any sport, anything, from any profession, he starts thinking about his goal and the mind starts working. A person who has a goal will definitely succeed. Now, here again, the success shouldn't be measured with the parameters what society does. To me, success is maybe I'm a below average child who was unable to clear all his academics or who could not qualify in the first round of heats. Fine. To me, tomorrow qualifying in the heats was a success to me. So the success shouldn't be related to the one to the finisher. Success is very much by a mere steps, by a smaller margin. Still, that is a success. Because that is tip of the iceberg. Lot many things goes beneath it. And since we all are not very blessed to pursue sport, and by chance, if we pursue a sport which is very, very expensive, like badminton is one of the very costly sport. The court booking, what we do, wooden court where we play. The shuttles, each shuttle what we use. The coaches whom we hire, be Indian or some other country. We need a blessing, but let us not focus on that level. Olympian level or that. Let us first only stick to the basic rules. Let's all change our mentality. Sports is not a subject. Sports is an education. Sports doesn't build character. It reveals character. So if we see in our life, it zeroes out to one simple thing. We have to be a person with values. Just once we are a person with good values, everything else doesn't matter. even if he or she is not a very skillful person, not a very knowledgeable person, not a good orator, not a good whatsoever, still it goes blur. What we see is the wonderful human inside him, which is very much an integral part of every sport. He learns honesty, he learns too many character, empathy, the motivation, dedication, hard work, everything. It promotes all self-confidence and many other mental aspects, which all my fellow speakers have already spoken about. I don't want to repeat the same thing again. I just want to emphasize that the approach has to be totally changed. It is an education. Everything what we teach inside a conventional classroom can very much be taught on an open ground. Every skill. And once the person is skillful, he can imbibe everything. He can absorb every fact, knowledge of any subject. Because towards the end of the career, what matters? A person may be a top CEO, but if he's not mentally strong, he's going to commit suicide. Let his wealth lie left in this world. What happened there? What went wrong? He was a very knowledgeable person. He was a very wealthy person. He was an accomplished person. Why did he go wrong? So we have to blur things what are bloated on a marketing basis. We have to stick to the core, core things which build an education. The mental aspect, the physical aspect, both are equally important. And physical aspect is on the ground, and mental aspect is an integral part of the physical aspect, right? So these both together form an education. So this has to be given maximum importance over other subject, over academics, if not at least equal importance. And then you see, once people are mentally strong, Colonel Tarun will very much agree. When it was Kargil time, I remember, or need be any instance, whenever anything strikes us with heart, Indians all forget all the differences and we all stand united. Yeah, why? It's the patriotism. It is the sense of unity. So these things are very much inculcated on ground. We need not go or stick to the conventional way of education. So all we require towards the end is a different mindset altogether. Once these things are taken care of, I believe we would emerge a very strong human being. That's all, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Ms. Archana Kumar, for giving your very, very strong views and being a badminton player yourself and an educator. You have given your force that sports is nothing but an education. And this is one should understand. Paucity of time, I would not like to summarize your thing, otherwise we will not be able to hear from you again. So now I would like to invite Dr. Kurian, and I would ask a question to you. Dr. Kurian, now being a player yourself, as well as now as a principal, do you agree that the role of parents and the upbringings at the childhood also plays a very important role? Because we have seen the parents are interested, no, you have to be number one. They always compare that you have to be topper in mathematics or whatsoever subject. They never say you have to become number one in sports initially. And that's why the mentality of the child changes. And that's why it requires the training of the parents, not only the child, because child once come to your institution or any education institution, but the upbringing required to be changing or not. What you say about this, Dr. Kurian?
Yes, sir. As we all know, in the childhood, especially till around 8th or 7th or 8th standard, almost all the parents promote sports as well. Because they, in the initial period of the childhood or education, most of the parents enjoy their children doing other artistic work or sports on the ground. But when it comes to SSLC, or a 10th standard or later, the parents totally dedicate themselves to academics. This has to change basically because the pressure on the parents to prove their child, especially the competition, and most of the parents would like to know to prove that their child is better than somebody else. This attitude should go, and then what will happen is sports also is a great source and possibility for a personal development of a child. If that child has the sport best ability in him, a chance has to be given to him. That change has to come in the parents. But it is more than the parents. It's a schooling system and supportive system by the policy makers, which makes a big difference. If I have a child who is really excelling in a particular sport event, if the school and government systems of policy ensuring me that I can make this child best out of the whole thing, then definitely there will be a lot of support system, especially for the children from rural area.
Thank you, Dr. Kurian. And we know that how the students from the nearby, not only nearby, from the across the Karnataka, rather from northeast and many places are coming to Alva's institution only because they want to play, and they know that the cultural and the sports activities you excel like anything. If our institutions, other institutions also follow the model of yours, definitely the sports and cultural can be promoted like anything. Now my question goes to Colonel Tarun Kumar. Colonel Tarun Kumar, old Gurukul system, if we see at that time, the sports were there, different sports, whether it's a throw ball or the volleyball, whatsoever term they used, boxing, arrow things, and many things which they were used to do. But nowadays, everyone is for gaming, coding. The child of 4 years, 5 years is busy on computer. Do you promote that type of education of the Gurukul type, where the parents used to live with the guru, and the guru used to teach each and everything, including sports at that time? By today, the child is busy in the school. After that, he is busy or she is busy only on computer, playing games. They are not saying that we are also playing games, but not on the field. What do you say about that, Colonel?
Goelji, my views on these are pretty different. I would say that we must develop children as a wholesome personality. So when we are talking about growing children or bringing them onto the sports field, it is at a later stage we will decide, or the child will himself decide that whether he would like to pursue a sport or not. But I've yet to come across a child, me included, and I would not hesitate in including all of us on the panel, any one of us who never enjoyed playing sports. It was so natural to us as a youngster. And when we talk of the Gurukul system, like Maryada Purushottam Ram, no, he was somebody who was good in each and every aspect of life. And where did he get that? He was taught resilience while being taught the archery. He was taught that how he has to use his skills and the wisdom. So when you are teaching people or the young impressionable minds, so the most important thing any teacher or any institution or any upbringing which teaches us is that not to be powerful, but how to handle that power that comes with it. And that is the most important thing. So the Gurukul system was all about firstly making us a wholesome personality, where we were knowing our Vedas, our ancient systems, everything. And at the same time, we were also skilled in martial arts. So we were like the complete picture of a human being personified.
Yes, Colonel. Sorry, I have to stop because of the paucity of time. Yeah. But you have made the point. But the only thing is nowadays, everyone is seeing in the, and due to the COVID, definitely it was forcibly that the children have to be online. But otherwise also, we have seen the young generation, this coming 3 or 4 years old, they are always stick to the, I'm talking here in India. Other countries, they emphasize to have outdoor activities. Anyway, thank you very much, Colonel. Now my question goes to Archana Kumar, Ms. Archana Kumar. You have mentioned about national education policy. Do you think or agree that this new education policy will definitely give any boost to the sports, or it will be like only a theoretical and implementation? It will be only for the academics, not for the sports. What you say, uh, Ms. Archana Kumar?
Yeah, thank you, Goel sir. If we did, let us not even reach national. Let us talk about even existing policy. Yeah, we do have a provision where if a child excels or plays or represents his state or national or international sport, he definitely gets an increment of marks straight away in his percentage, total percentage. So it's a known thing, but not very many people know about it, and it is not uh, done the propaganda thing. So one, it has the awareness has to be brought, and hence the pre-primary education has to be inculcated, or it it should very much include sports, because and they should, by having this focus. And if we talk about national education policy, yes, definitely it's going to make a lot of difference. Lot of emphasis has been given to all sort of subjects, it be arts or logics or sports. It is definitely, but yes, it is not going to attain its target till awareness is brought in society. So the right what do you call, information has to be reaching at grassroots
Okay.
level.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much, Mr. Archana Kumar. So, viewers, you have seen today those who have done lots of work in education and other fields also. Their emphasis is that if the child has to become successful, the sports has to be played in the childhood, and that will develop multifaceted to for the child. And we have seen how the Alvas Institute, Dr. Kurian has mentioned so many trophies, etc., and academics also. We have seen how the Colonel has mentioned about that in the field you require, if you are not you have not played the sports and the sportsman spirit is not with you, it can be a disaster if you are on the field. So you require to know each and every sports in that your childhood, so that you can be successful not only in army but everywhere. And Miss Archana Kumar, who herself is an example that how she has reached up to the she represented our country in the badminton. It shows that the sports is has to be integral part of the education. And I appeal to those parents who think that education or getting the top marks only in the physics or any field is the only ultimate aim. Should not be there. Make a child, let him or her play, then only they can get a good, they can become a good human being, which today every country requires. If you are a good human, complete human, then you can the country will develop like anything. Thank you very much. And today's program has been live telecasted by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV India, News Gaon se, Samvad Sarokar News, Bharat Post News, Karu News, as well. It was shown live on Facebook and YouTube. And our endeavor is to bring to you everyday new topic. And tomorrow again, we are sticking to the sports, and the topic for media conference with Lal Goel at 10:30 a.m. is cricket, India versus New Zealand. As you know, that today is the last day of the first test, and the second test is going to start soon. So we are going to discuss about the cricket, India versus New Zealand, and our panelists are Mr. Surendra Khanna, former member Indian Premier League IPL governing council, as well as a former Indian cricketer, and Wing Commander Arjit Ghosh, retired. He's a renowned columnist and author, former Ranji Trophy cricketer and coach Bengaluru, and Mr. Grant Wade Jensen, provincial cricketer and coach, multiple Ironman finisher, Cape Town. He's joining from Cape Town, South Africa. Although South Africa is nowadays a name which we all are hearing for last 3 days because of the COVID new mutant has come. So please be safe. Please adhere all the COVID disciplines which the government is saying, and then we will come out. But please listen tomorrow for the tune in for media conference with Lal Goel at 10:30 a.m. Thank you very much, Dr. Kurian. Thank you very much, Colonel Tarun Kumar, and thank you very much, Ms. Archana Kumar, for joining and enlightening all of us with your experiences. I am sure today's program is very, very enlightening for all our viewers, and definitely our viewers will learn that sport is also as important as any other subject. Thank you very much. Thank you all the viewers for watching our show. Thank you very much.